these are the three most underrated prospects in each UFC division. I'm going to go from flyweight to heavyweight, and even though in a few divisions, it's kind of hard to pick out underrated guys, but I'll try to pick out three prospects that I believe are underrated on the rise in their respective divisions. And we're going to just go off and start with the flyweights. So, we're going to start with Ramazan Temurov. And Temurlan is a very, very good fighter. 18-2 record on a 10-fight win streak. What more can you ask for? But you can go into his skills and see that he is one of the most powerful flyweights I've ever seen. I'm so serious. He's up there with John Dodson and Divison Figueiredo for power at 125. And he was throwing out a lot of spinning kicks in that victory over Vergara. He had him running, like you see in the top right corner. And Tamerlan's rumored to be fighting Charles Johnson. I think he wins that one. But Ramazan Temurov, I think they're going to look to push him to the top quite quickly. And I think he's going to knock a few dudes out on his way there. Ramazan Temurov. Next, we're going to go with the Japanese sensation, 22 years old, Rei Tsuruya. And there's two reasons I really like this guy as a prospect. First, Shinsuke Nakamura. You can see him in that top right corner. Absolute legend of wrestling. And a former MMA fighter himself. But also, his grappling is amazing. His control and his positional control are really good. He can lock you up into interesting positions, like you see in the bottom right corner there, with that reverse crucifix where he's raining down, looking for an elbow. He was setting up a twister for a long time in the fight, holding the back, and he scrambled, which Hernandez was scrambling very well. He would stay on top, stay in control. His striking's quite green, but he's a very good grappler. Rei Tsuruya, very good prospect in my opinion. He's fighting Stuart Nickel in Australia, and I think he wins that one. If this guy fights, he will definitely be a very underrated prospect, but right now I think he's still underrated because no one talks about him for a good fucking reason, though, because he doesn't fight at all. His last fight was 2023, late 2023. We are in 2025, and you have not fought. And Young Ha-Sung Park, peace of mind, very good striker, really well-rounded. He was picking up rear naked chokes, just running through the road to the UFC. And in the UFC, he beat the biggest can at flyweight, Shannon Ross, in the first round like he should. And then he disappeared. But this guy's style is exciting, fun, throws punches and knees at very high velocities with a good grappling game to back it up with nice submissions and rear naked chokes right, left, and center, or left, right, and center. Hyun-Sung Park, if he pulls this shit together and actually fights, I think he can go far in this division. Saeed Nurmagomedov. Now, not related to the Nurmagomedovs, but very underrated in my opinion, because this guy used to be ranked. He lost to Jonathan Martinez. People see the Nurmagomedov. They see that he's fighting Vinicius Oliveira, one of their favorite fighters, favorite prospects on the rise, and they don't rate him. But Saeed is really good on the feet with his kicks, one of the best, fastest kickers in the bantamweight division, with a gnarly guillotine choke. Really good with the guillotine. Submitted 3 guys, Muin Gaffarov, Cody Stamen, and a Uzbek guy that I cannot remember his name, all with the guillotine. It's actually that Uzbek guy in the photo in the top right there. But Saeed only loss in the UFC is to Jonathan Martinez, which I think was a robbery. He showed that his boxing has been improving. I think he can keep it competitive on the feet with Lockdog and maybe find a submission, but it's a very close fight. But for me, very underrated, Saeed Nurmagomedov. Next, John Matsumoto from Brazil, and his 2 UFC performances impressed me a lot. First, Dan Argueta put a big wrestling pace on him, and big gas, because he wasn't getting anything done, just controlling Matsumoto, working hard to control him as well, as Matsumoto was strong defensively. Nothing was giving Argueta any success. And then second round, goes for that wrestling pressure again, gets reversed up against the fence and guillotined, out cold. And then in his fight with Brian Katona was being very aggressive with elbows and punches, but he got neutralized, he got countered, and then the fight became more technical, more tit for tat, and Matsumoto was able to win an easy decision. So John Matsumoto, really good fighter. I think he can go far in the very stacked bantamweight division. First guy from the Contender Series who hasn't actually fought yet, but has a fight booked, is Swift Elijah Smith, and he is swift. His hands are so fast, even for a bantamweight, and at 5'9", he's pretty big for the division. In the Contender Series, he went to war with Aaron Tal, who was very hyped up for his face tattoo and just being a Maori. And yeah, first 2 rounds, he kind of boxed up Tao didn't really have anything until it went to the third, where it became more of a dogfight, and Tao started coming on. But Elijah Smith, very clean, crisp boxing is all you need to know. He was taking down Tao as well, which is pretty impressive. So being able to do both of those is a dual threat at bantamweight. I think he'll beat Vince Morales in his debut. I don't know why people are saying, Vince Morales, hard. Who the fuck is Vince Morales? He's a bum. And he hasn't won since the Reebok days. So Elijah Smith, I think, will beat him quite easily. Very underrated. Going on to the featherweight division, and this is one of my boys, someone who I think is so underrated. I'm not going to talk about the Brito fight. I think Gomez won the first and the third. Very close fight. But William Gomez is so good defensively. Barely ever gets hit. In the Brito fight, didn't get hit. In his Gimori fights and his... I can't remember the first guy that nearly choked him out, but then he couldn't. But Gomez kickboxing is very good. He stomps on that leg. But in his fight with Brito, he was showing a countering ability that I didn't think he had. But the most impressive thing for me, because everyone knows Gomez is a very good technical kickboxer, and everyone can see that he isn't getting fucking hit. But defensively, in the grappling, what did Brito do to him? He held him, so did Gomez, and he attempted an arm triangle that wasn't in, which gassed his arms out, and along with the big overhands probably gassed him out as well. And I do think Gomez is underrated. His performances are very clean. He doesn't really get hurt or hit. And he's fighting Haider Emil, who is the number one rush at you with hooks. So if Haider Emil doesn't finish him in the first 3 minutes, it's going to be a dominant 30-27, maybe 30-26 decision for Gomez. William Gomez, 6 foot tall, long, good striker, strong defensive grappling. I don't know what there's not to like, even though he can get boring, even though the Brito fight wasn't. William Gomez, the Jaguar, underrated at featherweight. Myron Santos. I don't know, he kind of reminds me of a Brazilian football player and just how he looks and his name. But the legend, Myron Santos, won the tough season on that Cannonier Bahalio card by brutal second round knockout after looking nice on the feet, landing nice calf kicks and body punches and straights to the body. Second round, slept Khan Offley with a nasty right hook. And in his tough fights in the house, he did well. Didn't really, wasn't amazing. I don't think he'll go to the top 15. Maybe, we'll see. But he said on his Instagram he has fight news soon. So we'll see what's next for the legend, Myron Santos. And then lastly, at featherweight, the Midwest chopper, Isaac Dolgarian. Now, I believe he's 8-0. I think he beat C-Rod, who won the third round. That's all I think. 10-8, but 10-8 was in the first for Dolgarian, and I think he won the second, so robbery. Anyways, Dolgarian, very high-level grappler. That's really all he has. Might have a cardio issue, even though it's looked better. But he finishes people early. A lot of the time with ground and pound, with nice wrestling, just brutal double legs, and he lifts you up in the air, just double legs you very fast for the division with the takedowns, not on the feet, God forbid. And he finished Brendan Marat a little too late for my liking, but it was very dominant, as you see in the top right there, and picking him up like a child. And Dolgarian, I think he's good, but he'll get pieced up and outstruck badly. When he loses, he'll get finished in the third round pretty brutally, is my take. He's already lost, but when he loses for real. And on a side note, he looks a lot like Beast Boy Mike Davis. We'll go to the lightweight division now with Esteban El Gringo Ribovic. And I was on this guy, no Diddy, before his Terrence McKinney fight, where most people were picking McKinney by submission, man. McKinney by club and sub. That's what the Topologies guys were saying, at least. And even the odds had McKinney as a favorite. But no, Ribovic knocked him out cold in the first round with a nasty head kick. Underrated knockout there. Had him snoozing up against the fence. And Ribovic then became a lot more noted for his war with Daniel Zellhuber, which isn't as good as Oralbai versus Rebecki, but an amazing fight. I think it was 1-1 going into the third. He was boxing well. He rips the body nicely. His leg kicks are pretty good. He throws up head kicks. The spinning back fist off the leg kick is something I always love. Third round, cracked him bad. Cracked Zellhuber really bad. Had him hurt and was giving him a beatdown. Zellhuber is so tough to survive that, but he got his ass beat in that last round, which for me just obviously secured the fight for Ribovic. And this guy's fighting Nasrat has press, staying very, very active as well. So Ribovic, I think he'll finish Hapsgrass, maybe go for it to a decision, but definitely will win that one. I don't think Nasrat has anything for him. Esteban Ribovic, this guy's going to make it into the rankings, trust me. Only 28 years old, lightweight. You be aware of El Gringo. We go to the Chilean gangster, well, self-proclaimed Chilean gangster, Ignacio La Jaula Bahamondes. And Bahamondes, for me, is the prospect here that I might be most high on out of all of them. Bahamondes is 6'3" at lightweight with some of the nastiest kicks you will see. So fast to the head, to the body, to the legs, with a spin, up the middle, everything with the kicks. And in his last fight, as you can see in the bottom right corner, he absolutely destroyed Manuel Torres. Torres was charging in kind of like a retard, kind of like Dricus does. But he isn't Dricus. He isn't as powerful. He isn't as physical. And he got countered brutally and slept by, well, not slept, but it was over by Bahamondes. And Bahamondes' kicks are really good. His striking is just in general is very good. He's been able to lock up a Darce in the path against Zhu Rong. He trains with Bilal Muhammad, so I assume his wrestling's getting better. And with this counter-striking ability, with these kicks, and with his length, I think he's going to make it into the top 10 at lightweight. Now, this is a real one. What do y'all know about Chris Tucker Padilla? What a legend. He comes in, short notice, fights James Lontop, huge underdog, subs him like it was nothing, makes him look like the fat fuck that he is. Then, next fight, looking amazing on the feet, again, as an underdog against Zhu Rong. Looking good on the feet, low kicking, whatever, landed the elbow a few times before. Second round, he lands it, and well, you see the damage it did in the bottom right corner there. His eye was fucked up, even worse than Orobai's against Rebecca, and Zhu Rong was stopped. So Chris Padilla, I don't think he'll make it to the rankings, but I think he is going to become a very good top 20 gatekeeper in the future. Then we've got Islam the Ripper, you should call him the model, Dulatov. So yes, this guy was a model. He modeled with like the Hadid sisters, which is kind of crazy, but he's done with modeling. He is now just fighting in MMA. He was before as well. And he is just a monster. In the first round, he goes at you. He's like Hamza Chimaev with the grappling, with the striking. He just goes at you. He hurts you, he's just going to punch. That would happen a lot on the regional scene. He would crack them and just punch them out. And then on the Contender Series, nasty fucking elbow landed on Vatilo Anun, slept him in 3 minutes, and it was a really slick elbow as well. He was throwing punches, and then the elbow came out of nowhere and just absolutely flatlined Atunes. He has a fight booked in Seattle against Adam Fugit, and he's going to knock out Fugit in the first round. Dangerous prospect, Islam Dulatov. I want to see his gas tank tested, though. Lastly, at welterweight, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel here a little, but the truth Trey Waters is 6'5" and put on a scrap with Billy Goff, one of the best fights of the year. And his boxing is all he does, but it's high level. This is not like what's his name? Fucking bum. Ramon Tavares, who can only box but is a bitch-ass midget in a division where you need to be able to do more than box, and even at the unranked level. Trey Waters, at welterweight, he can just box with these guys. Outside of the top 15. I don't think he'll make it to the top 15. He'll probably get chinned, considering how lanky he is. But he uses his range well. He was jabbing up. Beat Billy Ray Goff's ass. I will say. That wasn't a close fight. Trey Waters, very, very good fighter. Very fun fighter. And not very, very good, but very, very fun, at least. And tall, lanky guy for the division. I always sympathize with that. I fuck with that. Trey the Truth Waters, I guess, is my last underrated prospect for welterweight, but he's not making it into the rankings. Oh, sorry, that was not my last welterweight, but that was actually my first welterweight. Danny Barlow, or my second. Danny Barlow, left hand to God, lost a lot of fans in his last performance against Nikolai Veretennikov, but I think he's still dangerous. I think he just had a bad performance. I don't think he's amazing, but his striking's good, his left hand's good. If he lands that, you're going to do the chicken dance. Danny Jerome Barlow out of Memphis, I believe. I think he can still do some good things in this division. I don't know if he has a fight. Oh, he does. He has a fight booked with the future Sam Patterson. I think he'll chin Patterson. Patterson doesn't have a great chin. And Barlow does carry some power in his hands, so hopefully we're seeing Barlow 10-0 back in finishing ways in 2024. Now, on to middleweights, and we have one of my favorite guys in the UFC, to be honest, Abu Pisan Magomedov. Now, Abu Pisan was a pretty big star in KSW and the PFL. The UFC brought him in, and he got a first-round front kick finish against Dustin Stoltzfus in the first 20 seconds. And then they decided, let's feed him to the fucking wolves. And that's exactly what they did. Prime, before the Twitter, Sean Strickland. And Strickland beat his ass after Abu Pisan looked great in the first, but was just throwing everything and gassed himself out and got finished in the second. Then he fought Cal Bahalio. Very tough breaks this guy was getting. But Bahalio fight, again, he won the first and then gassed bad, but didn't get finished. And I think that showed something, because then in the Warley Alves fight, he didn't gas, won through his grappling. And then in his last fight with Bruno Ferreira, he did well on the feet in the first round and then got cracked in the second badly. I thought he was going to be finished, but he survived very impressively. Turned the tables on Abus, finished him with an arm triangle. Really good performance from Abus Magomedov. Next, now, middleweight, we're going to start scraping the bottom of the barrel here, because Ryan Loder is not a top 15 guy, maybe at middleweight, but all I know is his wrestling's very good. He showed it in the finale of the Contender Series. Rob Zilla had no idea what he was doing down there and got battered with elbows. And even in the house, he was just ragdolling people, kind of. So, Man of Steel, Ryan Loder trains with Anthony Hernandez, which is a very good thing, because I bet you he has amazing cardio. I think that gym, it might be in the EPM, but who knows. Ryan Loder, Man of Steel, with the American flag, everyone's favorite tough winner. No one's favorite tough winner. But, I don't know, he might be a top 20 guy at middleweight. Well, this is someone who I think is really underrated. Guys, Ikram's not a fraud. He didn't get fraud checked. He's still very good. He stepped in on a week and a half's notice and got KO'd in the first round. Anyone not from Dagestan does that. He is a warrior. He stepped in on short notice. When Ikram does it, fraud check. And it's not him getting privilege taking that fight. He took a short notice fight and lost. His striking is explosive. He has power in his hands. Good trips with the Sambo. Has even locked up submissions before, even though that's not really his thing. I think it's more of a ground and pound game he'll use in the UFC when he grapples. And we'll see, even if he grapples with Andre Muniz in his next fight, I would say steer clear. Just strike with him and knock him out, because Muniz is old. But if you imagine he ground and pound TKOs Muniz, that would be a pretty big statement. But obviously, I think he's going to beat Andre Muniz. Underrated for me is Alaskarov. I think he'll get a ranked opponent after this and probably win that. If they give him Jack Hermanson or something, I think he beats Hermanson. We move to light heavyweight, and this is where we get to the darkness. Magomed Gagiazulov is here, I guess. But if Bruno Lopez beats him, he would be here. But Gagiazulov, not really that great. Tall, good wrestling. Some okay striking, went kind of just sat late on Brendan Hibera for a decision, and he's back against Brunel Lopez. I need to do more tape study on that fight, but I might pick Lopez, so that just shows you where we are with light heavyweight. But the next guy at light heavyweight actually isn't a bum-ass fraud, and is actually underrated. Umar Sy. Now, people think he's good, but they might be turned off because of that decision win he got against Daung Jung. But I was very impressed by that, because we know he's a good grappler. He dusted Tuco Bumkos in the first round, not like your boy Navajo Sterling, who took him to a decision laughably. But Sy is 6'4", with the longest reach in the division. He's built like a gorilla. No racist shit. He's built like a gorilla. And he fights like one too on the feet, just landing low kicks, big shots, cracked Sy with a few overhands for his measure. I cracked Daung Jung with some overhands and some nice leg kicks and body kicks. Rocked him, was landing knees, outstruck Daung Jung, outgrappled him in the third round for when he got to the grappling. He's fighting Alonzo Menifeld. Menifield's not winning that one unless he lands a lucky punch. So I think Umar Sy will book his ticket to the rankings soon and is going to make his way up that division quite quickly. Umar Sy, underrated at 205. And then another one, just like Hyung-Sung Park. Where are you, buddy? Rodolfo the Traitor Bellator, or just Traitor Bellator, is a big Brazilian man. Unlike Hyung-Sung Park, he isn't that skilled, but power, okay wrestling and good work on the feet sometimes. I like his tattoos, but he's just very inactive. So the trader Bellato, because of that inactivity, he makes the list as underrated because people are forgetting about him. People forget, man. But people will forget about you if you don't fight. So get in the cage, bud. Rodolfo Bellato, I guess, is underrated at 205. And then we get to the big boys at heavyweight. And this is the only guy for me. Talison Teixeira is fighting Justin Toffa, I believe. Not in Australia, I think. That's which is weird. Or it might be in Australia, I might just be geeked. But he's 6'8", and he's powerful. He starched his opponent on the Contender Series, as you can see down there. And yeah, he throws kicks to a high level, to a pretty high level, and at that size, that's impressive. I like that spider tattoo, by the way. But that's besides the point. Tall, lands that right hand, that straight right, just slept his opponent. And I think he beats Toffa. He has a jiu-jitsu black belt as well. He's throwing up triangles and getting triangles in his career. Talison Teixeira, I think he's a lock for the top 15, at least at this heavyweight division, which isn't good at all. And you're about to see that by the next two entries. Ryan Superman Spann is moving up to fight Waldor Cortez Acosta, and his 33-year-old 22-10 record moving up is enough for me to put him on the list because there is no prospects at heavyweight, and especially no underrated ones. But Ryan Spann is mid. He can lock up a good guillotine. He can crack you with the right hand, land a few low kicks, but he's nothing special. I don't think he'll go as far as Kennedy Nzechukwu, but everyone's talking about him, so I won't put him in the list. I think he beats Cortez Acosta, gets a rank spot, and then fights a top 10 heavyweight and loses. And so Ryan Super, maybe he beats them, but yeah, Ryan Spann in the prospect list for me. And lastly, we get Walter Walker, the owner of the Toffa brothers. Walter Walker looked like shit against Lucas Bursky in his UFC debut. I thought he was the slowest, plottiest piece of shit we have ever seen at heavyweight. But he actually looked kind of movable. He kind of moved a little bit more against Junior Toffa and subbed him with a heel hook at heavyweight, which is really impressive. Toffa complained about it when he screamed. I'm not surprised he didn't know the rules. He's very dumb. But Walter Walker got the W, 6-6, and then cut a promo on the Toffa brothers. Fucking badass. We can get Walter Walker and Talison Teixeira, big Brazilian boys, versus Justin and Junior Toffa, big Samoan boys, tag team match. Who says no? Main event of UFC Rio. But anyways, Walter Walker, yeah, he's okay. So that will be it for our list, but I'm going to give you one from each Contender Series division. So, starting with the flyweights, Louis Grim Gurule, tough nickname, and a tough performance on short notice against Nick Piccinini, kind of a bum, who people were glazing and thought won that fight, which he didn't. He battered Piccinini on the feet, landed a bunch of low kicks, boxing, knees as well. I think Gurule can actually go quite far in the flyweight division, but he is kind of old, so he better get on it. Get your ass to the fights, Gurule, even though he actually fought like 2 weeks before his Contender Series fight, which is nice. And so he stays active, and his chest tattoo is pretty cool. We'll go to the bantamweight division where we get someone from Africa, which is really cool because there isn't much African representation in the UFC, especially not with the KO Wizard here from the DRC. And he's the first from his promotion, I can't remember the name, that has made it to the UFC. Went on the Contender Series after knocking everyone out brutally with his power and his athleticism on the African regional scene. Comes into the Contender Series, fights one of Merab's teammates, Otari Tanzalov, and Tanzalov was trying to wrestle him, and he defended all the takedowns, which stunned me, and he was kind of beating him up on the feet. It was kind of close, but he was landing the more powerful shots. So he won the fight, and the KO Wizard is green and raw, but I think he finishes a few people at bantamweight because of his power and his explosivity. We'll go to featherweight and lightweight for two of my favorite prospects in the entire video. We'll start with El Chino Kevin Vallejos, whose only losses to Gian Silva, by the way, and his boxing is amazing. So fast, to the body, upstairs, lands low kicks well, can knee in the clinch, battered Cam Teague on the Contender Series, and coming out of Samurai Fight House, he was their best ever fighter, still is. And now he hasn't booked a fight in the UFC yet, but I think this guy is very good and will go far in the division. We continue with Cody Steele. Now, the 7-0 prospect, lightweight prospect, is 5'9", which is a victim weight at that size on guard. But Cody Steele is actually pretty good. Very nice grappling. That's what he was known for before the Contender Series, locking up submissions, throwing people around, taking them down. On the Contender Series, he was doing that, ragdolling his opponent, and then finished him brutally to the body with punches. So his boxing is good. He's got great grappling, high level in jiu-jitsu, always competing in grappling matches and doing well. I think Cody Steele is a very, very good prospect. Jacoby Smith is one of the best prospects in the entire video. Some of the best power I've ever seen in the regional scene. This guy was just putting people stiff, like stiffening them like boards and having them fucking carried out the back. And on the Contender Series, he fought a Canadian, so you know how that went. He ragdolled him and battered him for a round, and then in the second, after 2 elbows, he kind of just like sat there, and the Canadian guy at the bottom was just like dead. Not even out cold, just kind of sitting there out of it like a fool because he's from Canada. And the ref had seen enough because it was a beatdown. And he showed off some high-level wrestling techniques in there. He's a former D1 guy. So that combination of wrestling and power is always going to be good, especially at welterweight. This guy might make it to the top 10. That's a hot take. We've got Marco Tulio Matoto, who is well-rounded and has a fight booked against... Who is he fighting? I think he's fighting Dylan Budka, if I'm not mistaken. He's going to beat his ass and finish him in the first round. But Tulio is... Oh, he might be fighting Ihor Pateria, actually. He's fighting Ihor Pateria or Dylan Budka. I don't think the outcomes change either way. I think Tulio will win on the Contender Series. He fought Beluguari, this tall kickboxer, last season, won and didn't get a contract, which was bullshit. And then, because it was a grappling-heavy performance, but what are you going to do against a kickboxer? And then he fought this French guy. And yeah, what do you expect? He's from France, and he's not William Gomez or Mosai. But yeah, spinning back kick to the body, finished him pretty badly. Good work from Marco Matoto Tulio. I think he wins that fight. I think it's against Pateria, actually, by second round KO. We go on to 205 and the heavyweights. Diar Nurgojain from Kazakhstan. Really high-level grappling, nice ground and pound, and on the Contender Series, he won by head kick. So he seems well-rounded for the division, and they need some wrestlers. So Nurgojain is someone that I think you should keep your eye on. And then Mario Pinto, I think this guy's probably like a lock for the top 15 at least. 9-0, 6'5", very amazing leg kicks at heavyweight. Shown that he can code the distance, shown that he has power. I think Mario Pinto, high-level prospect at heavyweight. So that's everyone. My favorite 3 out of the entire list will have to be, let me just refresh my memory here. I would have to say Ignacio Bahamondes, William Gomez, and Ramazan Temurlan Tamirov. So that's it, guys, for me. These are all the prospects I'm scrolling through here. These are the guys I believe are underrated. Some of them, I don't think they'll go that far, but some of them, I really do believe in them. This will be the first of many videos from me. Bye.